the solution to this example. So firstly, using match and index. So we just want to know, where does 31st of December 2011 occur in this list? So we're going to create a match function. So we're going to say look up that date. Where must it look it up? Must look it up here. So I've highlighted the whole area. And what type of match do we want? We want a false or a 0. When I say OK, it tells me 11. It means it's from here, it's the 11th item it sees. So I can copy that down. We now, however, want to pull through what the amount is. So we're going to use an index. We're going to use the first one. Where must it go look for this amount? So we can point out this area here. What row number? Well, it is in the row number we want it to be, so I'm going to put a 1. What column number? It can look here, or we could build the match directly in here. I'm going to say OK. Let's just format it to be a bit neater. When I now copy it down, you'll see it goes, so 2382, 2382, 2798, 2798. So by using match and index we can do it. We can also use an HLOOKUP in this case. So let's look for HLOOKUP. So what's the lookup value? It's the date. What's the table array? So remember, with H and VLOOKUP, the first thing it looks at must be where it looks it up. And we need to highlight both those rows because we're going to pull back the second one. Put my dollar signs on. What row index number? 1, 2. So I'm going to put a 2. And we're going to put false. Let's make it neat again. Now when I copy it down, you'll see it gives me the same answer. So you can use match and index, or you can use HLOOKUP. The next part, we wanted to know, when does the minimum balance happen? So graphically you can see where it is, but we want to work it out. So firstly, what is the minimum balance? So I'm going to use a function called min. And what that will allow me to do is to point at this row here, and it tells me that the minimum number is 42 million. Now when did that happen? So again, we can use our match, and we can say look up that number. Now we're going to look it up in this list here, and we're going to put a false. And it tells me it happens in column 135. Well, what month is that? Now we can use our index. And we're going to say the array to look at is, here's the dates. Put my dollar signs on. What row number? I'm going to leave it as a 1. The column number is this one over here. When I say OK, you'll see it brings back 30th of April 2022. And then we need to know, does it happen again? Now the difficulty here is with the match, it'll always find the first one it sees. But does it happen again? So what we're going to do is we're going to count how many times does Excel see that number. So for that we're going to use either COUNTIF or COUNTIFs. So let's use COUNTIFs. And I'm going to say, what's the criteria? I'm looking for that number over there. Where must it look for it? Somewhere in this row. And when I say OK, you'll see we're told that it's found it twice, so it does happen again. Now we want to find out this second one. Where is it? So the way to figure that out, so firstly we're going to do another match. But you'll see the problem with the match, if I say look up that value, the lookup array, at the moment I'm going to have to point to the exact same thing, and it's going to give me, if I put false here, the same answers above here. So we need to tell it that it mustn't start looking from over here. It must rather look from after the first one. So in order to do that, the array here, I'm going to replace it with an offset. So I'm going to say offset, what's the starting point? So I'm going to say start over here. Just put dollar signs on. How many rows must it move up or down? So I'm going to say just stand still, it's fine as 0. And how many columns must it move? So I'm going to say go and look at that. So that cell there is going to tell it, start here, go 135 columns to the right. Height's going to be a 1. Width, because a match needs an array, it generally needs a width. So I'm going to just put a big number in here. Let's make it 200 and close the bracket. So what I'm basically telling this match to do, and let's just click enter. So it's telling us 9. The reason it's doing 9 is because it's saying match that number, but don't start here. Start all the way over here in April 2022. So it's starting over here, and then it's going from here and counting how many. So you'll see there's the number there. And once you have this, you now know that that plus that is going to give me the date of the second one. So let's see if it works out. I can use the index. We're going to tell it to look in this array, put dollar signs, row number is going to be 1. Column number now is that plus that. Let's see if it got it right. So 31st of Jan 2023, I think that's right. So over here it looks like it. Let's just make sure there's, so that looks fine. So it has got it right. Just you must be a little bit careful with this. You must always check it, because sometimes you may need a +1 or -1. But you've now set it up that these numbers can change, and all this information will automatically be pulled through.